not compared to how it dropped the last time, but then we've seen from 10.3, hovered around 10.3, 10.4 for a very long time, for about 2 months, and now we are around like ancient source.
Hi, great people of Ghana, it's your Nigerian girl Pleasure, bringing you political news in our channel Ghanatube. Here are the recent happenings in Ghana, and we are always committed to bringing you all the trending news, all the news your way. Please switch.
We are around like ancient source 11. So for the year, the city very stable this year, very. From the stability from 15 cedis to 10 cedis, 30 pesos. Now we are going towards 11 a bit.
Well, in fact, it's also important to point out that this is the average that we've been tracking so far, because there are outliers. We go to the Bloomberg website, for instance, the cedi is trading more than, the dollar is trading more than 11 cedi to the dollar, right? Yep. And then also, if you go to the black market, we all know what is happening in the black market, as well as the forex bureaus, all charging above 11 cedis currently. But we need to understand why we are experiencing this, and we try to get some background stories to this, because what we do here on Beyond the Numbers is tell the stories behind the numbers. And one thing that came clear is the seasonal factors, because if you look at the trajectory of the cedi, its performance against the US dollar, usually when you start the beginning of the year, it's a bit rough for the cedi. It tends to gain some form of momentum March, April, and May, and possibly June. But when you are moving from July to August to September, the cedi usually struggles a bit. And this time around, although we are seeing it struggling, but you cannot compare that depreciation to the depreciation we saw maybe a year or 2 years ago. It's been a bit marginal if you compare it to what we have seen so far. And many are saying that this is simply because importers are now preparing for Christmas, and everybody wants to take advantage of the performance of the cedi currently, because nobody knows what will happen in the next 2 months or so. Nobody wants to import things at 15 cedis and 16 cedis. So now that it's still around 10 cedis, 90 pesos, and 11 cedis or 12 cedis, let's take advantage of it and import quickly, hedging against the pressures that will come in December, because we are just about some few months to end the year. And this is the indication we are getting. I don't know if Winston, you have any other reason, but per the simple survey we've done, speaking to experts who have knowledge about this issue, this is what they are saying, that importers are not taking advantage of the good performance of the cedi and preparing for the importation that will come somewhere in December.
Some are actually anticipating this is possibly expected, because if you look at a trend, like you just mentioned, seasonal factors are critical, and also there has been quite analysis from the World Bank addressing the consistent intervention, and they were actually advocating that the central bank should be a bit minimal. That was reflected in the recent auction, where the central bank decided to reduce its intervention marginally. But if you look at the various factors that has kept the cedi at bay, they've all been stable since the first and second quarter of 2025. But one thing that we shouldn't forget is the external factors. The trade factors on the dollar is still critical. The recent Federal Reserve's policy rate cut has also a bit tweaked the upgrade in the performance of the dollar in global trade, and that also has brought about the need for countries to now find a safe haven for their investment. Investor outflows, the capital flows has now changed, because now due to the global risk factor, the Russian-Ukraine war, which has come to its bay, now there's the need for tension between US and China to be a bit subtle. Israel has also come to light, and these oil players, which has initially lifted our outlook in terms of expected revenue from the oil sector in the first and second quarter, all these are playing a critical role and the strength of the dollar. Now, certainly last week, when Trump decided to hike the rate on China, it puts the country at a place where, when it comes to trade dynamics, it is quite changing. Now, countries are forced to have bilateral, more than look at it from geopolitical perspective. And this, certainly, with dollar being a factor, all the values, people are now switching away from the dollar. Although there's a little more demand on it, certainly the value will go up. Less demand, certainly the value will go up with time. But its impact on Ghana will affect our traders, which now if you go to several ports across the country, across the world, they are trying to ensure that all goods move out of the borders because they don't know what will be the imminent factors that would delay goods transfer from either the...
So uncertainty really playing a key role here.
All playing a key role. And so the central bank's recent directive tells you that they are trying to fill the loopholes in the Ghanaian trade sector, ensuring that every money that moves out or stays in the country are documented and are tracked. Although they are using the money laundering law to back it, but it's critical to understand what is moving out and where it is going. And with that assessment, I'm sure we can able to use data to tell what we are losing.
Okay, there's one thing that Winston said, which is very important, and we've said here we've said it a number of times on Beyond the Numbers that the reason why we saw the stability of the cedi was simply because one significant reason was the intervention being played by the Bank of Ghana. We heard from the governor who said that, well, we've met all our requirements and we have the funds. What's the sin in intervening? But what we have seen is that after that, executive board approval that we saw and the articles came in July, and we all saw the analysis and the intervention the Bank of Ghana had done, and the IMF saying that the government has a sexy footprint in the forex market. Many are saying that, and even their research to back that, but the Bank of Ghana is currently slowing down in terms of the intervention. What more do we know, and how is this affecting the marginal rise we are seeing, in the dollar against the cedis currently?
Okay, so I think to understand the dynamics, we need to appreciate that since the dollar to the cedi has been around 10 cedis, the black market rate or the forex rate has been higher than the
usually the difference about 2 cedis, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it was at 10, the black market was around 11, 12, thereabouts, but still within 11, 12. So for the past few months, it has been 11, 12, while the Bank of Ghana's rate has been 10.3. So there's always been that distort for the past few months. But then if you look at the trend now between the black market rates and the Bank of Ghana rates, you can see some sort of convergence. Even though it's not converged yet because the black market is around 12, 11 cedis, we are now at 10.9. And it needs to converge because while there's that distort in the market, you don't have the full trust of the players in the market because they feel like you're intervening too much. And like you said, in the first 3 months of this year, the BOG intervened with $1.4 billion. And in the first 3 months, we were still doing 15.5.
Yeah.
We maintained 15.5 for the first 3 months.
It took some time before we saw the effect, right?
So after the first 3 months, we don't know how much BOG intervened with. But that's where we saw the steep drop. So probably BOG intervened more, and that caused the significant drop that we are seeing. But then also, for you to intervene, you need dollars. And dollars are coming in because of gold. Right now, gold prices are above $3,000 per ounce, all-time highs. It reached a high when Trump imposed tariffs and mistakenly added gold into the tariff structure. So markets were spiky, but then they took the tariffs of gold. So because gold prices are very high now, government is getting dollars, the BOG can intervene as well. So that's good. But then this morning, you also saw that the gold board said that they are increasing the price they're buying from farmers at a higher price than was likely. Also, if you look at the data, because last year, in the whole of last year, according to the Chamber of Mines, small-scale miners produced 1.5 million ounces of gold. Now, in the first 5 months of this year, the finance ministry said that the small-scale miners sold about $5 billion worth of gold. If you convert that to ounces, you have about 1.5 million ounces. So last year, the whole of last year, small-scale miners brought in 1.8 million ounces. First half of this year, we have 1.5 million ounces. And that's almost the highest we've seen in the past few years. So what's causing the spike? Are traders deciding to sell off all their gold before the gold board finally kicks in? Which means that in the second half of the year, there might be less gold coming in. If there's less gold coming in, less forex coming in. So the Bank of Ghana will not have access to as much dollars as they had before. So if you are seeing this, if I'm the government, I'm seeing this, I know that no. Even though I still have some reserves, but in the second half of the year, gold production might not match what we see in the first half of the year. I might have to slow down.
Uncertainty.
Exactly. And if you also want to converge the black market rate and the interbank rate, this is very important because we need the markets to trust everyone. So if you have your interbank rate and your Bank of Ghana rates being the same, is the best thing to do. So that being done, after the interbank rates, and we have the gold prices still remaining elevated. I don't think there's a significant problem here. But then we have to, again, gold board has brought so much, they have so much goodwill so
I think
far.
they will certainly have a lot of challenges controlling
Because
the
we
market.
need reports from gold board. We don't have any reports from gold board yet. This is how much, where the gold is even coming from. Are they projecting a slowdown in gold production, which is one
There's a promise to do regular updates. We've not seen that since the start of the whole gold.
If you look at the directives from the BOG right now, they seem trying to protect instead of allowing the market to correct itself. The BOG is trying to see that they're trying to protect the gains so tight.
I mean, say that they are already enforcing laws that
they're already on the books. Exactly. So
there's one statement that was made by IC said that there's corrective depreciation of the cedi, and that is something we will certainly analyze in subsequent bulletin. But I want you to know that the issue is still on, and we'll bring you up to the conversation here on Beyond the Numbers. But before we go, I want you to know we are going straight back to the Fidelity Sustainability Conference that is happening right now, and we'll bring you up to the...
Please do well to like, comment, and follow. Put on notification bell so you get all our news one by one. Thanks.